Assalamu alaikum and hello to all viewers and also new viewers. Thank you so much for tuning into the show today. I really do appreciate it. My name is Samina Chughtai and I'm your host for today. Welcome to the Let's Talk show, British Muslim TV. We're live here in the studio in Wakefield. We're also live on Twitter as well as live on Facebook. So as always, if you have any questions with respect to the topic of discussion today, then please do not hesitate to ring in on this number, which is 01924 231 Alternatively, you can WhatsApp message, which is 07585835150. So another interesting topic of discussion today, which is creating a powerful legacy as a Muslim woman, for which we have a multi-talented lady guest here on the studio today. She is a leadership coach and also coaches and speaks on diversity and belonging. She empowers leaders and colleagues from diverse fields to be confident and connect to their purpose so they can achieve optimal impact on the world. She's the director of Empower and Excel Limited. So without further hesitation, I would like to welcome Sobiya Jawaid as our guest today.
Thank you so much for that introduction, Samina, and thank you for this invite.
You're welcome, and thank you for taking the time out. I'm so excited. I wasn't able to sleep last night because I just thought, oh, we're going to be having Serbia. So, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it, particularly on this kind of like cold autumn kind of like day, even though, officially the clocks haven't gone back.
Shifting.
Sorry?
So the weather certainly is shifting.
It is, definitely. Yes, definitely. I got my furry jacket out today because it's so cold. Time for me to have coffee every morning. During the summertime, I don't have coffee. But anyway, so thank you so much, Sobiya. So can I ask you a bit about yourself? Can you share it with myself as well as, the viewers out there?
Absolutely. So as you mentioned, I'm a leadership and confidence coach. I also help leaders to create impact in the world by connecting to their purpose. And in the corporate space, I help leaders to create more diversity, equity, and inclusion. And underlying all of that is this sense of belonging. When we belong, we're able to thrive, whether that's at home, in the workspace, or in society. So I do that in the corporate space, and in the one-to-one coaching space, I help leaders become confident, overcome imposter syndrome, connect to their purpose, and what I call leave a meaningful legacy.
Yes.
And in terms of that, I also speak on those issues as well as bringing my own lived experiences and my story of my background.
Yes, and your story is very, very interesting, because you are multi-talented, you have a diverse career background, I believe before you started your leadership coaching, you were also, I think, a teacher for 15 years or something in the subject of biology?
That's right, Mina.
Yeah, so what led you to then become a leadership coach?
So it was really a point in time where I felt as though and this is me being really authentic, where I hit rock bottom. I went through two significant losses in my own personal life, and it made me really go internally and question exactly what my purpose was, that I was in a good profession, I had a family, I lived in a nice home, but really I always had this yearning of connecting to a higher purpose, and I never really knew what that was. And it was those circumstances where, as I said, I hit rock bottom, where I started to really dig deeper and explore, and I started to take far more courageous steps than I had previously, and I experimented, I pursued my self-development, my personal development, and that's where I came across coaching. And as I started to work with coaches, and as I started to embark upon my own coaching qualifications, I realized this transformation that was occurring, and all that I was learning and all the transformation that was occurring was in alignment to what is really important to me, which is my faith and spirituality. Right. So it was in alignment, it was cohesive, it was so. For me to go through that transformation was so significant that I realized that this is what my purpose is, and this is what I want to bring to other people's lives to create change.
Okay.
Because it was so significant for me.
Okay. And without getting too personal, you said that you had 2 kind of losses. Was that like personal, or was that, in the aspect of work, in your career, which then led to the significant change?
So it was 2 personal losses, as in I lost 2 family members in my immediate family, and that was a significant shift. It really created that space for me to connect to, actually, I've been learning so much about my faith, about my spirituality, about God, but actually now is the time where, in these challenges, how am I going to apply those principles in my life to help me be a better version of myself, and to trust the process, right? As Muslims, we believe that Allah has a bigger plan, and to trust in that plan at such a difficult, challenging moment, really, I often say is a transformative process. And that was what it was for me.
Okay.
It allowed me to connect to my values and start exploring my coaching. And, when I look back at it, I just think, had I not gone through that challenging time, I wouldn't be who I am today. So that's essentially, in a nutshell, how I came across coaching. And then I pursued that. And now I specialize in leadership coaching.
Yes, alhamdulillah, that's amazing. So in that respect, did it develop you both on a personal level as well as, on a professional level, this transformation, which was no doubt gradual?
It was gradual, but the steps that I was taking were significant steps. So a little bit about me is that I was in the teaching profession, and then I resigned. I set up my own business. I started coaching high achieving leaders. So it was progressive, but at the same time, each of the steps that I was progressing on were quite significant, courageous steps.
Okay, amazing. So I wanted to ask you a bit more about, your company, Empower and Excel. So what does it denote? What does it stand for? Does it encompass all your leadership training and coaching?
So there's 3 main branches. There's my corporate work that I do, and then there's the one-to-one coaching that I do with leaders, which is either through the corporate space or through private sector. And then there's my speaking. So they are the 3 branches that come under 3 parts of Empower and Excel coaching, and all of them have something that's really key, and that is my values, my purpose, my vision, and my principles. And they all go back to my story and my lived experiences, and what I do, what I bring to the table through those experiences. So in the one-to-one coaching, I focus on purpose, vision, and values. In the corporate space, there's a lot around diversity, equity, and inclusion. How can leaders create belonging in the workspace for those who are from diverse backgrounds? Because part of my story is my kickboxing, and I was one of a very few minority females in the kickboxing club. But in that club, I had a great sense of belonging, and I thrived. So I take that experience and use it in the corporate space. How can leaders create belonging in the workspace?
But can I just ask you a question there? Like you've said, in the aspect of kickboxing, in that, what's the word, field of work that you did, or your kind of like interest, your interest. You said that there was a sense of belonging. Belonging is really important, and diversity is really important. So I'm thinking maybe that was around about the late 80s, in the 90s, was it? That you started off, as a kickboxer? Because I'm just thinking back then, diversity and belonging, it must have been very gradual and not as progressive and significant as it is today. So how did you acquire that sense of belonging in that kind of environment? Was it diverse? Did they accept you? Or was it about your strong sense of faith and personal upbringing and family?
So there was an element of my own personal upbringing, because my dad, he practiced judo, so he came from a martial art background. And in terms of the time scale, the time around which I became really committed to my kickboxing was around 9/11. And that's where I really focused and decided this is what I want to pursue. And I really want to progress in this martial art. And for those of you who have any understanding of martial arts, it is when we talk about diverse, that's a very current term now, diversity, equity, and inclusion. But in those back in that time, which is going back quite a significant time, there was this element of respect that it doesn't matter who you are, what background you're from. My coach really created that space where she didn't see me any different to anybody who was from, let's say, an English background who was white. She respected me, and everybody who I trained with also respected me, in spite of me being from a Muslim background, a Pakistani heritage, wearing a headscarf. And seeing those differences physically, I never was treated differently.
Okay.
Accepted for who I was, and I trained consistently, and any opportunities that arose, such as my national competition and my European championship, those doors were open for me. And my coach, my kickboxing coach, really supported me. She never once said to me, okay, well, I don't think you should go for this, or I don't think this is suitable for you. Those doors were always there.
Yeah.
And that's what I say, belonging is the current term, but actually I really did have that belonging back then.
Yeah.
And I was able to thrive because I went on to get my black belt. I went on to do a national championship. I qualified for the European Championship, where I won the silver medal. I actually qualified for the World Championship, but that is a different story because I was studying and doing my postgraduate at the same time at that time. So I had to make a really difficult decision at that time, and I pursued my education.
Yeah,
but going back,
mashallah.
Yeah.
So sorry, we're now going to have a quick break, but Sobiya, we will continue on with this conversation after the break. So viewers, please do not hesitate to contact, what am I saying? To join us after the break. So really would appreciate it. But just before we have a break, whilst we remember, you're the first, I think, hijab wearing female British Muslim black belt kickboxer who actually went to the European levels, represented England, and you won a silver medal. So I just need to say that before we break. So we're going to continue on with the show after the break, which is a few minutes. So please do not hesitate to join us. Bye for now, viewers. Assalamu alaikum and hello, welcome back to the show. Let's Talk Show, British Muslim TV. So we have our amazing guest, Sobiya Jawaid, and just before the break, she was talking about belonging and how she felt that sense of belonging in some of the organisations that she's worked in, and how important it is, like for example when she was doing her kickboxing training. So Sobiya, if you want to continue, please.
Thank you, Samina. I was just going to say, back to the point that I was making, that back in that time, it was about respect. It was about treating people equally and valuing what they brought to the table. So I had that in my club. Whereas now in this day and age, there's a real push for an emphasis on diversity, equity, inclusion. And for me, it's this sense of belonging. So I think words can carry different meanings. But when we have belonging, what does that mean? It means that you're respected, you're valued in spite of your differences. And that's just the point that I wanted to make earlier.
Yes. And, sense of belonging in the workplace, in the home environment, in the sports environment, with any aspect of life, with any kind of institution or kind of group, or with any kind of career organisation, that sense of belonging is really, really important, because if you have that sense of belonging, as you've explained, you do aspire, you do feel that you belong, you do bounce off that environment, and you learn and you progress and you achieve. And quite often, unfortunately, through my own experience, having also worked in the past as an equality officer, there are lots of cases historically and even today, where people don't have that sense of belonging and hence affects them in all aspects of their life and achieving. But yeah, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing that, Sobiya. So can I ask you a bit more about your coaching? So what are the things you help your clients with so they can create that optimal impact, in the world, with their life and achieve their purpose? So how do you help them?
So in terms of my as I mentioned, I do the one-to-one coaching. There's the corporate space where I work with teams, and then there's the speaking. In terms of my one-to-one coaching space, the key factors I focus on is confidence. When people and my clients, when you know what your strengths, your skills, your qualities are, you are able to create more of an impact on those around you in your personal life and in your professional life. So I help coach my clients around confidence, self-esteem, self-belief, and through that they recognize the gold that is within them. And then from that space onwards, we look at what their vision is, what their purpose is. So what do they love to do? What can they get paid for? What does the world need? And we explore this in the coaching space, so they get to their purpose and then taking it forward. What is the vision that they have for their life for 10 years, for 5 years, for 3 years? Often many people don't think that far ahead, and thinking about a vision is really important. As Muslims, we know Allah is, our life is for a certain point, a certain time.
It's a journey, yes, and that's that final destination.
We don't know how long we're going to live, when we're going to die. However, when we have a vision, that inspires us, that excites us, that helps you to create more of an impact, even if you have a short life. So I help my clients with their vision. And when you take all of those factors into account, their life not only transforms, but they're able to create so much more impact and leave a meaningful legacy, because it's about their purpose, it's about their vision, it's about impact. And that always is wider than them. It's a ripple effect. You throw a pebble in water, the ripple go resound far and wide.
Yes,
and that's
yes.
the same with them.
And it must have a profound effect on every aspect of their life, particularly when you've helped them to achieve their purpose. Suddenly, somebody that was sinking, suddenly someone that was lost, suddenly now, as a result of your intervention, they're flourishing, they have a purpose, they know where they're heading. And, therefore, it must affect and improve other aspects of their life as well.
That's so true. And this is a key element. When we talk about leadership coaching, people often assume it's just for CEOs, managing directors,
yes,
in a corporate space. Actually, no, for any of the viewers that are listening, you are a leader in your life, whether you are a mom, a dad, whether you have a family, no family, whether you're in a job or no job. As individuals, as long as we're living, we're leading our own individual life and then the life of those who we are responsible for. So we are all by default leaders. And when you are a good leader in your personal life, you can take those qualities into your professional life. But often people miss that. They try and be good leaders in their professional life, and in their personal life, things are just, the alignment is not there. And so I help my clients to achieve that. When you are a good leader, you're the same person that is at home. You're the same person who goes to your friends. You're the same person that goes into the workplace. When we get that really, when I get my clients to step into that space, it's transformational.
And, like you mentioned, that confidence is really important. And, that will help the individual, your client, to achieve their vision, to find their purpose. But there's also the aspect of imposter syndrome. How do you overcome that? Because quite often you have leaders, you have individuals that are skilled, you have individuals that have set a purpose, who know where they're going, who want to excel, or who are in an organisation, in a role, but therefore at some point, the imposter syndrome will take effect. How do, we as individuals, and maybe in this respect, Muslim women, overcome that?
It's a real, I like the ending Muslim women, because I have supported many Muslim women, Muslim men, and actually men and women from different backgrounds and
Yes.
diverse backgrounds. But because this is a British Muslim TV, I'm going to focus on Muslim women. And the key element there is that you really have to recognize that you have strengths. As Muslim individuals, Allah has given us strengths, and we have challenges as well. You cannot deny the challenges, you cannot deny the strengths. But often people are far more focused on the negativity, that they oversee the good in them. And this is really important, that every single person who's struggling with their confidence or struggling with imposter syndrome, start off by recognizing, what are your strengths? What are your qualities? What do you love about yourself? And this is not about being arrogant, but actually it's a key foundational aspect to build yourself, because through that, then you can create goodness and you can impact people. So recognize your strengths. And they are, again, I coach people in that space, because there's a whole mindset, a belief system. And often people think, especially in faith backgrounds, that being confident is being arrogant.
Yes. Or you're showing off.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually coach people on this element of humble confidence. You can have humility, but you can be confident at the same time. And that goes into the confidence coaching, dealing with imposter syndrome. And really, I know there's a lot of noise around, and the external noise for Muslims, especially Muslim women, because, and if they're covering. So recognizing what you bring to the table is so important. And that goes hand in hand with the other space that I work in, which is the diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging space, because corporate businesses, organizations really have to create those seats at the table.
But can I also kind of say, you know, we're talking about confidence, we're talking about Muslim women, and, you know, the topic for the discussion today is creating a powerful legacy as a Muslim woman. And I hear what you're saying completely, and I agree with you. But sometimes it's not just the environment outside. Sometimes it's the home environment. You know, the way you, as a Muslim woman, is perceived by your family, maybe by your husbands, by other individuals in the home environment, and also, you know, how your sense of entitlement or your confidence can be misconstrued. You know, so sometimes it comes from the home environment. I do see that, you know, amongst my friends, or, you know, amongst individuals in the community, Muslim women that I've, encountered, had experiences with. You know, so how do they overcome that? Because I think, on the one hand, yes, you've got this amazing job, for example, you're a director, you're going out there, you're covered as well, you know, you want to follow your faith, but at the same time, yes, so you're articulate, confident, you're in a responsible position, but then when you come home, yes, that kind of like power or responsibility changes, there's a shift, or you may not be given the same kind of like respect. So suddenly when you're at home, you're a typical Muslim woman, or not even a Muslim woman, but you're just a woman who is there to bring up the children, to listen, to, you know, to undertake the responsibilities. So I think sometimes what I've seen and what I've heard, and I'm sure you have got comment, you can comment on that, that there is that conflict of how you are at home and what is expected of you in that position. And how do you overcome that? You know, because I think that is a constant battle for women that are working or who wanting to leave a legacy and find their ultimate purpose.
See, I'm listening to what you're sharing with me really carefully, and what's coming up for me is quite deep-rooted, actually. Just because, and these are my personal views, and this is the space in which I coach, so it may not resonate with everybody. However, I don't think the role of a woman in the home compromises what she can do outside, because leaving a legacy, a meaningful legacy, actually, as Muslim women, when we're raising our children, when we're instilling values in them, when we're giving time to our home, nurturing the home environment, being there for our partner, our husband, or in return, the husband for the wife, that is that is, it's a wider conversation, but actually that is an incredibly meaningful way to leave a legacy, because you are nurturing the future of tomorrow. So
yes, I take on board what you're saying, but what I'm trying to say is that, you know, unfortunately, sometimes you are not given that degree of value. You're not given that degree of confidence.
Okay,
but
so if that is the case, if a woman is in a high position at work and she's going through marital problems.
Sorry, I need to stop you there, Sobi. I'm so sorry. We so run out of time always. So I'm so sorry, viewers, and also Sobiya. Again, you know, we've run out of time, but please do tune in next week, and it would be great to, you know, have you on as viewers. But Sobiya, I'm so sorry. Okay, bye for now.